I grow so tired, but I know I got one thing I gotta do. Ramble on. Now's the time is now. Sing my song. I'm going around the world and I find my girl on my way. I feel this way 10 years to the day. I gotta ramble on.
Well, welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce Adam LeFebvre. Today he's our guest. Adam is the president of Specialty Print Communications. It's one of the GLGA member companies, and they specialize in direct mail. But I don't want to steal too much thunder from you, Adam. If you could just walk us through your life experience with print and how you got into print.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. So we have been in the business, my family, since 1938. My grandfather was a printer. My father is a printer, and I'm a printer too. And it's been an incredible journey. I started going into to my dad's print shop at 2 or 3 or 4 years old, and really can remember days for sure as early as 5 and 6 years old, operating cutters and folders when I was far too young, and they didn't have all the safety devices that they have today. So probably not a good idea looking back, but I fell in love with the industry early, and certainly we have grown and evolved and changed. Really found a little bit more complex space in the industry to hang out, but heart and soul, it's still ink and paper, and it smells good.
You talked about love. So what is your passion? What do you like to do the most?
Well, for me, it's the customers. I'm actually on the road right now. We've really gone from just ink on paper to really be a marketer, and helping in that marketing equation for our customers. And my favorite thing in the world is to visit with those folks face to face and to really work on solutions to those marketing challenges that we all have in today's environment.
So you mentioned marketing, obviously, something new. I believe it's less than a year old. You guys, SPC, bought a marketing company. Talk to me a little bit about, how that's going, and do you like it? What's the upside, downside of that sort of thing? I know this is something that's happening in the industry. Don't tell us too many trade secrets, but let us know where things are going.
Yeah, well, it's always been the marketing that I'm talking about is really just the overall. I'm not quite so sure if I am worried about who the agency is, who's coming up with the ideas, who's doing the execution of those things. And we're a printer and a mailer at heart, but a lot of times in today's acquisition and retention marketing channels, those things are necessary and required, and sometimes there's a few ideas that nobody has brought to the table. And so we acquired a company called Fuel Pop. We now call them SPC Fuel, small agency that resides inside of our organization, and it gives us the opportunity to provide just another level of sort of add-on service to the direct mail campaigns that we're driving. At the heart and soul, and at 99.9% of what we do is still delivered through the mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely accoutrement to some mailbox things that we can do because we have this agency now, including sort of upscaling the campaign, the mail campaign itself.
Excellent. So I know one of the things that you're very passionate about, you talked about love, and I think love and passion go hand in hand, but I know something that SPC, especially you, are very passionate about is the issue of recruiting in the industry, young people, young, talented individuals, getting them into the industry. Could you talk a little bit about some of the things SPC is doing, as well as what you see in the future as to, what's going to happen? How does this all play out?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely become sort of a lost art, and as printing became a lost art, the trade schools started dropping it, and colleges started dropping it, and families have dropped us as an industry, right? It used to be that we recruited heavily based on generation after generation of people showing up because their dad did and their grandpa did. Just like, in my case, right? I wouldn't have found the printing industry if I wasn't born into it. And so, with a lot of the sort of last generation of great printers retiring, and they were really the work of sort of the big movement into the, web offset world and the sheet fed advancements, and they're gone. And so the trade schools are starting to come back and look at printing, and the high schools are starting to come back and look at printing as maybe a viable option because it didn't die like people said it was going to die. It's certainly right sized. Let's not fool anybody. There's not nearly the number of employees that there once were, and there's not nearly the number of plants. But I do believe that for the markets that ink and paper serve, it's really going to be around for a long time to come, no matter what digital technologies come in play. And so for a right-sized industry, we're short. We're tremendously short on employee participants and people getting excited about being in the printing business for life. And so we're working on that. We're working on it every day. We're working on it in the high schools. We're working on it in the colleges and universities. We're working on it in the neighborhoods that some of our employees live in. Just trying to get that message out that this is a great and viable industry. It's not as uniquely high paying, relatively speaking, as it once was, right? For a while, when I was a kid, it was known as the greatest indoor paying industry in the country. Those are old guy sayings at this point, but it still pays a really good, healthy, competitive wage, especially once you become a craftsman in our industry. 6 figures is not unheard of, and so for a lot of people, it's still a great option for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little disheartening. I think we're about the same age, Adam. You're probably a few years younger than me, maybe even a decade. But needless to say, it's a little disheartening when we sit down at meetings and you and I are the youngest people in the room, right? So I think
That's right.
the need for this in the industry is pretty dramatic. But, I think that there's an opportunity for our industry to come together and speak. So speaking of the industry coming together, Adam serves on GLJ's board of directors with full disclosure, but certainly everybody joins GLJ for different reasons. So could you talk about some of the things you see as opportunities for GLJ to impact the industry and even more so bring together individuals to solve some of these big issues that we face?
Yeah, I think it's a great place to be. It's why I stay so involved in GLGA. Really interesting. 26 years ago, I started with 3 employees, and today we have nearly 500, and our revenue has skyrocketed since the beginning. And one of the things I have a little bit more perspective on now is sort of how the size of your business impacts sort of what the environs are for you. And I think the neat thing for GLGA is that there's a wonderful mix of small shop who are the dominant shops in our marketplace. Even today, by sheer numbers, there's almost 20,000 small shops for 200 big shops. And GLGA is a place, and some of the other local associations, the place where those two worlds can not collide, but intermingle and really bring power to each other. There are things that the big guys have a leverage and an intelligence that the small guys don't. On the other side, there are a tremendous amount of things that small companies do better. They're more nimble. They can focus on things easier. And GLGA is a place where we can sort of match heads, understanding that I can't do everything that other size guy can do, but I can share my experiences. And then I always think that the biggest advantage to GLGA and the whole lineage in the past of GLGA. Like I say to people, like pay your dues, sign up, because we need your dues to continue the good legislative work that this organization, in coordination with its members and other associations across the country, like in different ways, we're always partnering up to better the whole industry. And there's the ride along guys, right? They're like, well, you know, you guys do that, have fun, because we'll get the benefit. It feels really good to me to put my money in and be part of that and an active participant. And I really do, Joe. I encourage everybody to just do it, because it's the right thing to do, and it will legislatively, you know, talk about sales tax on equipment and so many other things that we can talk about over the years. My 26 times $5,000, right? We've been a $5,000+
Yes.
contributor for 20 of our 26 years, probably. We grew fast enough. And so we're over $100,000 in, and I can tell you, I don't have to count on any of the other benefits. I've received at least $500,000, if not millions of dollars back, just in knowing that the Illinois Graphics Arts machinery sales tax exemption. Like that's just one example where we've saved millions. It really is. And so everyone has their own reason, but I really firmly believe that GLGA or your other local association, if someone out of our region is watching this, that's what they do. And then by the way, on a daily basis, they're a resource to get any question you have answered. And they don't know all the answers at GLGA anymore. We used to have, before Joe was with us, when we were Printing Industries America, there was, 100 people that worked just to sit there and answer people's questions, and they were ex-pros. Now we have a smaller organization, but from an administrative perspective, but what we have is people who are really willing to participate. And so when a member has a question, we launch that to everyone across the entire membership.
Yes.
And we all post all of our responses, right? You get 40 responses to choose from, or 80 or 100. And those are just some of the super values that GLGA can bring.
So Adam, one last question, and I think you're a perfect example of somebody that can answer this, but automation and digital products, output devices. Talk with me a little bit about where you see the future of automation and digital output devices going.
Yeah, well, we are super focused, whether it's inkjet dots, whether it's toner dots, whether it's traditional paste ink. It actually is all one category. To me, we're in a really unique position where we have a complete range of litho and digital. And so we don't have to force any customer to any particular spot. We sell them what's most appropriate for them, what's going to get them the best bang for their buck. But when you flip from trying to differentiate, in my world, from traditional to digital, because I don't think that's so important. What is monumentally important in my mind, Joe, is that automation and efficiency is paramount. I am a huge believer that cutting edge technology, up to the minute technology, and not everybody has the capital to do it, but my goodness, if you do, getting into that newest, greatest, most efficient, less bodies per dollar output, right? Per impression, there's so many advantages to that. And I think we all need to embrace that as best we can. I do think that, especially to create enterprise value for any of us as printers, right? You can make a heck of a lot of money, because I've been there. You make a heck of a lot of money. There's a lot of cash flow available in using your equipment up and wearing it out. The trouble is, when you're done at the end of that runway, you've used up your equity. And so, being that I'm a young guy who's getting old in our industry, the gray hair in our beards both sort of,
I know the feeling.
resonates, right? I still have a little more hair on top, but not
Yeah,
much. Not
mine's
much. I'm
shining
catching
right
up,
now,
Joe.
so I mean,
Yeah, I'm catching up, Joe. But but really, to build value in your organization, I am a firm believer, and for everyone who doesn't want to do it, that's okay, because that's an advantage, in my opinion, to the companies that do, um, in the long term, not necessarily in the short term. Um, but but if you're thinking about it, think about it a little differently. Um, think about sort of changing the mindset on how much a new piece of equipment costs,
mhm,
because it doesn't cost you every day like your old equipment does. It costs you a big chunk right now, and then
mhm.
it might actually make you money every day. Um, but the more automation, the more technology, the less number of touches, the less number of people we have to have. All those things are great for the industry, and I think for the balance sheet of any company in our space.
Excellent. Well, Adam, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. If you have any questions, just let me know, Joe Lyman of GLGA. And I just wanted to mention one last time, we are having our first annual chili cook-off in the next few weeks. So we have one in Illinois, one in Indiana, and one in Wisconsin. I welcome everybody to participate. At this time, appreciate your time, Adam. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Joe. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye bye.